All right, folks, we have made it to Friday, and not just any Friday. It is the beginning of a long holiday weekend as we get ready to remember and honor all those who have served and given so much, ultimately for some paying the ultimate sacrifice. But again, as we head into the Memorial Day weekend, we're excited about the weather here in the Mid-Atlantic and for much of the country. We're going to get into all of that. My name is Craig Moeller. I am a meteorologist here at 13 News Now, and you found me here at the Weather Desk where we tackle today's top weather headlines. Let's get to our headlines today, heading into the Memorial Day weekend. Here's what we're going to cover. Today, we've got storms and some holiday travel impacts. You know, there's a big nor'easter. We'll talk about that. We'll also look ahead to some places that will see storminess over the next couple of days. We've got updates on water patrols and some different things going on along our coastal waters. Some different events going on here locally across the 757, that's Southeast Virginia and parts of Northeast North Carolina. We also have beach safety, so a lot of the stories having broad appeal. Again, anywhere across the country, this is information you should know. And certainly if you're here in the 13 News Now viewing area, the immediate broadcast area, we've got some extra information we'll also be sharing on those local events. Guess what? Yesterday morning at 11 a.m., NOAA released their hurricane outlook for the upcoming hurricane season. I'll share that with you, and we'll hear some more on that from Tim Pandagis. We'll talk a little bit about some of the things that contribute to their forecast. We're also going to get to Norfolk's weather mitigation plan. Some interesting things happening to help deal with some of the potential flooding we may see in the future. Also, just powerful storms, what they're doing here to kind of fortify our area against some of these troubles. Now, a lot to talk about with all this. We're going to check in on the Eastern Pacific, where there's an area that is showing some more signs of potential development. So we'll get into that. And then finally, we're going to have an update on the Australian flooding. Again, that has been a big problem. We've got to follow up on that. And really cool video from a Chinese spacewalk they just completed. Some folks up with their space station doing some maintenance. But the images are so cool, and we love to share the space activity and a lot of international stories here on the Weather Desk as well. We're going to start off, though, talking about travel and the Memorial Day weekend. I mentioned that nor'easter up in the Northeast, an area of low pressure, pretty powerful, producing wind and rain, some snow up over the higher elevations up into New Hampshire. You can see parts of Maine, a little bit of wintry precipitation. This is a late season nor'easter, but it's producing those stronger winds and those higher tide levels, some rough wave action up there. And, you know, everybody wants good weather for Memorial Day weekend events and activities. You need good travel weather to get there, and it's been a challenging start already. There's this spring nor'easter moving through the Northeast. We talked about that. And we had some severe thunderstorms and hail in Southeast Virginia just last night. So people looking for an early start on travel may have run into some headaches. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has more on those travel challenges.
This morning, more than 45 million Americans are set to travel this holiday weekend, but a strong nor'easter is already derailing plans for some people. The storm potentially wiping out holiday barbecue plans with cold rain, temperatures in the 40s, and wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour expected. A weekend that's supposed to kick off summer, now feeling a lot more like November.
A little late in the season for a nor'easter, isn't it?
More than 3 million people are expected to fly this weekend, and for many, the headaches have already started.
I have my fingers crossed, and I hope we get there.
Yesterday at Newark Airport, more than 500 flights were delayed. Air traffic control staffing issues have prompted the FAA to temporarily cut the number of planes allowed to take off and land there. And now weather threats could make a bad situation even worse this weekend. And this could be just the start. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is predicting an above-average hurricane season with up to 19 named storms, including as many as 5 major hurricanes. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
All right, so we're going to take a look right now at the conditions across the country and what's happening right now. Again, we do have that nor'easter impacting the Northeast U.S. Across the Southeast, things are looking good down along the Gulf Coast right now. A few showers south of Louisiana. It is a quiet situation out west for now. We're going to be watching this area right here as it is going to develop and work down to the south and to the southeast. Eventually, I think we're going to have some potential for flooding issues later today. It's likely that parts of Missouri, Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, and southeast Kansas could deal with some flooding. Now, most of the country really in pretty good shape. This is the excessive rainfall potential for today and then tomorrow. You can see it expands a little farther to the east here to include portions of Tennessee, also Alabama and Mississippi here, northern Mississippi. The area of likely excessive rainfall expands, and what I also want to let you know is with this wet weather pattern, there's going to be a very likely scenario for excessive rainfall in this same area as we go later in the weekend into Sunday. So this is all stuff that we're going to be watching here over the next couple of days. If you are in this part of the country, if you have travel plans to this part of the country, or have family or friends back there, again, be mindful there is going to be some heavier rain in that area. All right, as we take a look at the severe weather outlook for today, I showed you just some showers right now out in this area, but as we go through the afternoon, we reach that peak heating of the day. Situation coming together to produce potential strong to severe storms. It's a level 2 or slight risk back across portions of western Nebraska, much of Kansas, a good chunk of northern and northeastern Oklahoma into northwestern Arkansas and southwest Missouri. The level 1 or marginal threat extends down through West Texas. There is the potential for tornadic development here. Again, it's on the lower end of that elevated risk, but still something that folks need to be mindful of from northeast Colorado back through western Kansas and northern Oklahoma. So that's where the roughest weather is going to be likely today. And again, wind also a concern for that part of the country. Could see some stronger wind gusts, kind of a level 2 threat for that in that area. And the same thing for hail, same general area, the area on the western kind of edge of that elevated potential for hail. That's where we could see some larger hailstones. And again, we're talking about hail in excess of 2 inches. I will mention, as I said off the top of the show, that we did have some isolated severe storms come through our area last night. And in Virginia Beach, near Princess Anne, there was one report of about 1.5 inch size diameter, inch and a half diameter hail. That is obviously severe hail, larger than a quarter, so almost golf ball size. So that's what we were looking at. Now, the severe weather potential for Saturday, it does extend a little farther to the southeast, and that level 2 area really fills in across Oklahoma and into southwest Missouri, still portions of southeast Kansas. So we're going to be watching for all of that as we take a look at the tornado potential. Level 2 threat across central Oklahoma. It's a level 1 threat as far as the elevated tornado risk for Arkansas and southwest Missouri. That whole area we'll be watching very carefully. Again, wind and that larger hail back across Oklahoma. You'll notice along the East Coast, we don't have any severe weather threats, and out west, we're also looking really good. It's just the central part of the country, both Friday and Saturday, that we'll be watching, and specifically this area right in here. So parts of Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas really want to pay close attention. Now, travel plans today. Up and down the East Coast, you can see we're in pretty good shape, certainly through the southeast, all the way down towards Orlando. It does get warm down there, 91, 83 in Atlanta. Temperatures cooler as you go farther north. Raleigh at 77, and then you're into the 60s. Still, some showers may try to wrap around the backside of the Noreaster. Boston still wet up there potentially. Cleveland looking better. In the central U.S., those storms coming together over Nebraska, then diving down across parts of Kansas and Oklahoma, as I had pointed out just moments ago. For most of the region, though, down to the south, it's not looking too bad. Certainly more heat there. Minneapolis, Chicago, St. Louis looking good today. Omaha, the wet weather. Out west, beautiful weather. It is going to be breezy in San Francisco, L.A. around 69. 98 in Vegas, 104. The heat is on for the southwest. Again, hot weather there with sunshine. Salt Lake City, beautiful. I spent 3 years living in Salt Lake and absolutely loved it, working out there for, at the time, the CBS affiliate, KUTV. Great station and a good group of people out there. Billings, 68, 66 in Seattle. Things looking good around Denver as well today. All right, so that's a look at the travel conditions for today. Now, as we take you through the evening, you'll notice the chances for wet weather there. Maybe some rain South Florida, and we could see some rain developing later in the day down across Louisiana. This is a European model. Again, you see the development of those storms in here working into this region that we really highlighted for the potential strong storms. As that settles farther south, we're going to see more enhanced rainfall there. Still quiet along the west coast. This is through Saturday morning. As we go later in the day, Saturday and into Sunday, some more showers and storms in this area. We're going to be in pretty good shape. I expect beautiful weather for Hampton Roads, and you'll see that in a much more detailed look for today, tomorrow, and early Sunday. Late Sunday, chances for a few showers, and you can see more unsettled weather out to the west and all the way out through portions of Wyoming and Colorado. Again, this is Sunday afternoon. As we get into the evening, you see the chances for showers going up here, and that's when we'll see more wet weather to the southeast. So if you are going to be traveling down that way, while you've got great travel weather today and tomorrow looks pretty good, eventually Sunday, more unsettled there, some wet weather across the south central U.S. and back out into Colorado and Wyoming, back across South Dakota, some unsettled weather, and still a little unsettled in the northeast. I still think the southwest looks pretty good. Now, looking ahead to Monday, Memorial Day, we've got a slight chance for a few showers. I expect some wet weather, maybe overnight Sunday. Most of Sunday is going to be fine here in the mid-Atlantic, but there will be that rain chance overnight Sunday night. So as we go through the overnight and early Monday, maybe a few showers. I expect a little bit of that here. Much of Monday, though, looks not too bad for Hampton Roads. And again, we'll get into this. You can see the better chances, showers and storms down over Texas early Saturday morning, East Texas up through Arkansas, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, all wet, still quiet in the southwest. And then as we go later in the day on Memorial Day, more rain for the lower Mississippi Valley, parts of the Ohio Valley and into the Tennessee River Valley as well. Back across Texas in the Red River Valley, we're looking at some more rain there back off to the northwest. So they're going to be kind of stuck with this unsettled pattern back across the central part of the country and extending back out to the northwest of that. Things should improve here in the mid-Atlantic. That's for Monday into Tuesday. Eventually, we see this next batch of moisture working in, and it looks like rain will eventually move in late Tuesday into Wednesday. That's with the European model. All right, we're going to take a look at our Memorial Day weekend forecast for Hampton Roads, and we can take this full. I want to give you a good look at this. The temperatures Saturday and Sunday are going to be in the mid to upper 70s. So it will be warming up, and we are looking at temperatures in the mid 70s on Monday with a big warm up coming up as we get into the middle to latter part of next week. We'll be back up into the low 80s here. Today, for your Friday, we've got temperatures that will be cooler with the highs only expected to be in the low 70s. So that warm up for Saturday near 77 and then mid 70s Sunday and Monday. I do think that chance for showers very hit and miss on Monday. Don't change your plans. I've been really talking about that. And while we're talking about plans in the Memorial Day weekend, there is so much to do around Hampton Roads. And let's start off with a look at the Patriotic Festival in Norfolk. It's returning to the Scope. It starts tonight. There's going to be a handful of activities outside the Scope. And then at 7, the music starts. And you got to love this. Old Dominion headlines night 1. Riley Green is there for night 2, and Jordan Davis wraps up the festival Sunday night. Tickets start at $55. Now, down at the ocean front, and this is great, talked to Dave with Coastal Edge, and he was telling me, man, they've got so much great stuff going down with the Steel Pier Classic. Great surfing. There's art on display. So much to check out down at the ocean front. Surfers are taking to the sand, and they're going to be down there around the jetty, and the contest will run through Monday. Great surfing conditions. Heard from George Alcaraz as well. He said, Craig, you should see it down here. The waves breaking around 4 feet or so, and the surfers already loving it with the west-southwest wind today, cleaning it up. There's going to be great surfing over the weekend. Then in Williamsburg, we have the Big Bad Wolf, the Wolf's Revenge. It's going to open to the public at Busch Gardens. A new coaster is also opening up at Water Country USA called High Tide Harbor. So plenty going on there. All right, let's talk about the boating forecast and what you can expect out on the water. We've got pretty good conditions today. As I mentioned, it's a little bit choppy out on the waters east of Virginia Beach. The surfers loving those waves coming in 3 to 4 feet, an occasional wave coming in around 5 feet or so. And the winds west, cleaning up those surfaces. It's a little gustier out on the water, up to about 20 knots. Chesapeake Bay, 10 to 20 knot winds, the waves 2 to 3 feet. We came through high tide at 6. We've got another tide coming up, the low tide a little bit later today. So things are looking pretty good for us across the waters today. But if you live near the coast or a lake, Memorial Day weekend, it's a huge time for the boaters to get out. And whether you're planning to fish or hit up a sandbar or just enjoy a ride on the water, you should always take boating safety seriously. Never try captaining a vessel after drinking any alcohol. And just like when driving, you've got to follow the rules of the water. Our sister station in North Carolina got a chance to ride along with a water patrol unit from a local sheriff's office. They share some of the most common issues that law enforcement sees out on the water.
Lake Norman, the largest man-made lake in North Carolina, spanning 34 miles in length with 520 miles of shoreline. The Iredell County Sheriff's Office patrols more than half of that. Our Verified team is taking you along for the ride. Behind the wheel, Deputy Jared Church and Deputy Brooks Weathers.
I just enjoy being on the water.
Both have been patrolling the water for more than 5 years.
Generally try to be out here at peak times, for sunrise to sunset.
But who are they pulling over the most? That's one question you wanted answered.
The most is going to be safety violations. If they're too close to other boats doing crazy maneuvers, it's usually the same excuse, well, I know them. I don't go out trying to write people tickets, but if they need a ticket, they need a ticket.
But do they even need a reason to pull you over? According to North Carolina law, they don't.
So whose boat is this?
Law enforcement officers have the authority to stop and inspect any vessel.
If we're going to stop somebody, we typically have a reason.
Safety checks and safety violations can lead to charges of BWI, boating while impaired.
So if we stop somebody for a safety violation, whether it be some kind of motoring maneuver or stumbling, falling down on the boat, falling off the boat.
Church says they work with North Carolina Fish and Wildlife officers for these arrests. So when you see these guys on the water, they're not trying to ruin your day of fun, but to keep you safe. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
All right, and while authorities in North Carolina can stop and inspect any vessel, different states have different laws. Be sure to look up the rules where you are before you head out on the water. All right, we take a look here at the ocean front. I mentioned a lot of surfers loving this, and you can see all these little black dots in the water as we look out there. Those are all surfers waiting to catch some of these swells, and you can see those swells coming in. Again, the waves have been breaking generally 3 to 4 feet. Occasionally we get a little 5-footer. I do want you to know, though, for folks out there swimming, that we do have the situation where there's a moderate threat of rip currents. At the airport right now, 64, partly to mostly sunny. Winds are variable at 6 miles per hour. But it is really, really pretty out there. And while we're talking about the beach here locally in Virginia Beach and the Outer Banks, beach patrols are ready for the unofficial start of summer as well. Our own Brianna Fallon spoke with beachgoers at VB Emergency Management Services about some safety reminders for the holiday weekend and beyond.
While people get ready to head to the beach for Memorial Day weekend, it's important to remember some water safety guidance. Peter Munson likes to spend his late spring and summer days by the beach.
There's no place you could be that's healthier in this world than the beach.
He says when it comes to the ocean, he loves to go in for a swim. But Munson is not the only local who loves the water. Alyssa Bledsoe says when she jumps in the ocean, she makes sure to follow some important water safety strategies.
I always go in with friends. If anything is too strong, I'll come out, especially when they have the flags up, I'll know not to go in.
According to Virginia Beach EMS paramedic Timothy Ribel, some other important reminders are swimming near a lifeguard and to always go into the water feet first.
Sandbars can be hidden, and going in head first is just like a pool, might cause a head or neck injury with the risk of paralysis.
But there are also rules and regulations that should be followed to stay safe in the ocean. For example, if the water is too rough, Ribel says red flags will be visible on the beach. When that happens, it means it's too dangerous to swim.
It's advised to stay out of the water due to the conditions. If you have a surfboard or a bodyboard with appropriate fins, you may go in the water at your own risk, but that is the only acceptable time to get in the water during a red flag day.
And if an incident were to occur on the beach or in the ocean, Rybel says he is confident that lifeguards are prepared. Brianna Fallon, 13 News Now.
All right, so here is the beach forecast, and I'm really excited because, this weekend we just started yesterday and today, something we're going to do throughout the summer. That is our beach forecast, and we have our sponsor, Virginia Beach Psychiatric Center. They've been great partners with us for the past couple of years. We're delighted that they are back. We've got this every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I throw in the beach forecast a little bit throughout the other days as well, but every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we really key on the beach forecast. And you'll notice again that rip current threat is moderate. So use caution. Surfers loving it. Water temperature 65. Cool, but you can deal with that. I've walked out a little bit into the water and it's not that bad. The bay is actually a bit warmer than that. You'll notice today temperatures up into the low 70s. We'll see sunshine and a few clouds. The UV index very high today. It's around 8.2 or 8.3. We're expecting the levels to be very high again tomorrow and Sunday. Sunday we're going to see increasing clouds. But the bottom line, you need to apply that sunscreen. Now, we talk a lot about fun things like the beach and the boats and getting out there, maybe doing a cookout. Not everyone's gearing up for travel or big cookouts this Memorial Day. A lot of folks take this long weekend to spend some time outdoors and maybe give their home landscaping a little shape up. But not all landscaping methods are eco-friendly. ABC's chief climate correspondent, Ginger Z, has tips to increase your curb appeal with the environment in mind.
Green grass used to be part of the American ideal. And while curb appeal is important, conventional landscaping techniques are not the best for the environment.
There are between 40 and 60 million acres of lawn across America. It's being overwatered in a time when we need to be preserving water. People are pouring, pesticides on it.
Fortunately, there are ways to design your yard to achieve an outdoor space that is easy on the eyes and the planet. It's called sustainable landscaping. Expert Haven Kears says it's not as complex as it sounds.
You're not using concrete, you're not using asphalt, you're putting in plants, and plants are giving off water and creating oxygen and cooling the environment. So it's not like this fancy special thing to do sustainable landscaping.
Kears says to replace parts of your lawn with trees, shrubs, and plants over time.
We're adding biodiversity to the environment, where by putting in plants, we're reducing temperatures.
Choose plants that are native to your area, that'll grow well in the region's climate without a ton of water.
I absolutely love California poppies. Well, if you're in Connecticut, not going to make sense.
Last summer, and then do you want some of these in here? I got to help a group called Planet Wild to rewild this yard in Westchester County, New York.
We're talking about carbon sequestration, right, in your own backyard, as well as pulling out toxins from the air, filtering and conserving water as well.
Amp that water conservation by implementing stormwater management, like a rain garden, where you create a low point in your landscaping to collect water and route your gutter to that spot.
We're slowing down the amount of water that goes into our drainage systems.
Lastly, stay away from chemicals. All of these steps will help attract wildlife and pollinators, which will also help keep our planet healthy and beautiful.
There are ways to do good, but also to look good. And so that's what I think is the most fun.
With this Climate Minute, I'm Ginger Z.
All right, Ginger, thank you for that report. Hurricane season in the Atlantic just over a week away. And yesterday, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, released their prediction for 2025. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandages has a closer look at this outlook.
NOAA has released its outlook for the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season, pointing to a higher than average likelihood of increased storm activity across the basin. This season, NOAA projects 13 to 19 named storms, with 6 to 10 likely to become hurricanes. Of those, 3 to 5 are expected to reach major hurricane status of Category 3 or higher. These numbers closely align with the seasonal forecast released by Colorado State University in early April. For context, the 30-year average stands at 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 majors, making this year's forecast notably above average. So what's driving the outlook? Several atmospheric and oceanic conditions are contributing. First, the ENSO, El Niño Southern Oscillation, is expected to remain neutral, which reduces wind shear, a factor that often suppresses storm formation. Sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic are forecast to remain above normal, supporting storm development. And African easterly waves, which often serve as the seeds for tropical storms, are expected to be more frequent. Some may even emerge farther north than usual, increasing the chance for stronger, longer-lived storms in the Atlantic's main development region. Together, these conditions signal a higher potential for an active season. Advancements in forecasting continue as well. NOAA's upgraded HAFS, Hurricane Analysis and Forecast System model, is expected to improve storm track and intensity predictions considerably. When the first storm does form, it will be named Andrea, the first name on this year's list.
And right now, things are very quiet as we look across the Atlantic. Again, our season starts a little bit more than a week, but over the next 7 days, no tropical development expected. I will tell you, though, in the eastern Pacific, we've been watching an area here which now has a 60% chance of development. It looks like we could get something here coming together a few hundred miles off the southern Mexican coastline. That would be expected to stay offshore, but it is something that we're watching. Now, currently, things are pretty quiet, but if any tropical systems or severe weather events come to Hampton Roads, the city of Norfolk is bolstering its defenses. Flooding is one of the most costly issues that Norfolk faces, even without natural disasters. But earlier this week, Norfolk City Council got an update on a $2.6 billion project meant to mitigate the impacts. Emily Harrison explains.
It's called the Coastal Storm Risk Management Project, and it's the biggest flood prevention project Norfolk has seen in more than 400 years. Now, the city's engineers told Norfolk City Council members they are one step closer to its eventual completion.
The design is complete, pencils are down. Now it's the Corps' responsibility to take a detailed look and review through their various levels of command of that design.
The project includes new storm surge barriers, nearly 9 miles of flood walls and levees, and 10 pump stations, but not everyone is on board.
I do not support the current alignment that it has right now going through Freemason. I've said that publicly at the Civic League. I'll say it wherever I can be publicly, that I do not support the current alignment.
The problem stems from the Freemason District, a historical area for the city of Norfolk. Phase 1C would put up a flood wall along the alignment of the Freemason District, and many property owners are worried it could not only diminish their water view, but also lower their property values.
We've said it from day one. For us, it's a non-starter. I think it's going to be a problem, be an issue.
Engineers say they are looking at an over-the-water solution, but need to get a 30% design complete before they can reevaluate. Either way, engineers say they plan on listening to the Norfolk community, and for now, the project is moving along as it should. Emily Harrison, 13 News Now.
One way or another, we're going to have to deal with the sea level rise as it continues to become a more significant issue for our region, and we'll keep you posted. All right, another big concern for residents when storms hit is power outages. And between the high winds that we saw last week and the rain and hail we've seen this week in Southeast Virginia, our local energy company, Dominion Energy, had crews dealing with power outages all across the region. But in the long term, Dominion Energy leaders are hoping a new form of technology will help cut down on the number of power outages altogether. Madison Schlegel talked to Dominion and has an update with their new methods.
Sharice Newsom, a spokesperson for Dominion Energy, says crews are pinpointing places across the area where power outages happen the most.
Neighborhoods that are heavily treed are more susceptible to power outages because trees and tree limbs are the #1 cause of outages in storms. So if you look at the canopy in your neighborhood and you've got a lot of trees and branches that are hanging over the power lines, they could lead to outages.
Newsom says Dominion Energy projects like their strategic underground program is helping to reduce outages in the area. That puts power lines underground away from the elements responsible for outages.
With our underground power lines, we have so far converted about 2,500 miles of overhead lines to underground lines. So that's about 13% of our what you call distribution lines.
Already, Newsom says the project is cutting down the time customers are in the dark during a power outage.
Communities with underground power lines, their outage times have reduced from about 11 hours to just under 2 minutes.
And in cases like the last several days where Dominion Energy has reported thousands of outages, this technology is even more important as we head into the start of hurricane season.
For the past week and a half, storms have really battered Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina. There have been really strong winds, some near 65 miles per hour, that has broken power poles and that has caused power lines to fall down. And when that happens, our crews jump into action.
We'll continue to watch that as well. Those buried power lines, so much better for residents not having to worry about that loss of power. All right, so we're going to turn our attention now back to Australia. If you watched the weather desk yesterday, we talked about the flooding, and that devastating flooding continues across parts of Australia. New South Wales recorded record-breaking flooding after 3 days of heavy rain. Those records had been in place since the 1920s. New video from residents are showing the impacts as entire towns are cut off by floodwaters. The Australian Prime Minister had to cancel his planned visits to one of the impacted towns because of the dangers. Around 50,000 people are still isolated by the water, and more than 500 people have been rescued, both by helicopter crews and boats. And Australian government meteorologists say a low-pressure system there obviously stalled out, and that created all of the flooding rains. Some parts got 2 full feet of rain from the system. So just an incredible amount of rain. Think about that, 24 inches, obviously record flooding there followed after that. All right, we're going to turn our attention to space now, and really pretty cool stuff here. 2 Chinese astronauts just wrapped up their first spacewalk of their current mission. The Chinese state broadcasting company released this stunning video of their work and what they've been doing outside the space station. The pair arrived at China's space station about a month ago, and they're working on service operations on the station and conducting some emergency drills. The China Manned Space Agency has been growing rapidly in recent years. It landed an explorer on Mars and a rover on the moon, and aims to put a person on the moon before 2030. We'll continue to follow all of this. All right, let's talk some more about the forecast here. We've got a lot of sunshine setting up for a beautiful Friday. I mentioned highs today in the low 70s. Enjoy it tonight. A mainly clear sky. It's going to be a cool overnight with temperatures tomorrow down into the upper 40s and low 50s. So looking pretty good for us early on. Later Saturday, more sunshine. Temperatures getting back up into the mid and upper 70s across the region. We'll enjoy a beautiful Saturday. Remember, on Sunday, we'll start to see some more clouds working back into the picture. Across the south side today, low to mid 70s, so enjoy that sunshine. Remember the sunscreen UV index very high. It's going to be nice to the north and down to the south as well. Plenty of sunshine, mid 70s for northeast North Carolina. Overnight tonight, the low near 52, mainly clear. Tomorrow back up around 77. After that, the clouds on the increase for Sunday, and there will be a chance, a slight chance, but a chance for showers late in the day. Now, the better chances come overnight Sunday night and maybe early Monday. A few isolated showers will be possible later Monday, and then late Tuesday, showers and storms become more likely. I will say the European model, the first one to kind of hold back the precip a little bit, really until late Tuesday night into Wednesday. If that's the case, maybe we luck out and have some drier weather through the day Tuesday and into Tuesday evening. Too early to bite on that, but I will say that's a trend we'll be watching. You'll notice after that chance for morning showers, temperatures warming up as we get into our Wednesday and Thursday, back up into the low 80s. All right. Want to remind you, you can always stay up on our forecast by downloading the 13 News Now mobile app. Access to the radars to forecast updates, any special weather coverage we have. There's lots of great stuff available right there at your fingertips as you're on the go. No matter where you're going or what you're doing over the holiday weekend, I hope you have a great weekend. And if you are traveling, be extra cautious out there on the roads. You know, a lot of folks we'll party a little bit over the Memorial Day weekend. Here in Hampton Roads, we have such a rich military tradition. We want to thank you and honor those who serve our country. And again, those that have made the ultimate sacrifice. We really remember them and thank them and all of you for your service. That's going to do it for this edition of the Weather Desk. Again, today's top weather stories each and every weekday morning starting at 9 o'clock right here on 13 News Now Plus.